welcome to Whose Turn Is It Anyway? So I'm joined by JP.
Hello.
Becky.
Hi.
And of course myself. And we're going to be talking about Uwe today, or Uwe as I kept calling him. A very apt name is Puzzle by Name, Puzzle by Nature. In fact, why not ask, how is everyone? We all doing all right?
I'm all good, thank you.
Yeah, so...
Considering.
Considering. So obviously we've had a bit of a kind of traumatic X amount of days.
Yeah. Well, X amount of weeks, isn't it?
X amount of weeks. Yeah. I guess to the listeners, it's like days, but to us it's been weeks.
It's weird, isn't it, with podcasts? Like whenever anything kind of an event happens, whether it's positive or negative, because of the way we record and the time lapse of the recordings to release, it always feels a bit kind of jarring. So obviously our last episode 2 weeks ago probably felt really upbeat and has taken the piss and laughing, but then obviously it was after the fact that obviously Kris has sadly passed away. Just might have sounded continuity wise, just sounds completely off and weird, but that's just podcast life, isn't it? So this is our
the time vortex of the podcast.
Absolutely. But this is obviously our first recording after all of that, after the funeral and attending that. But so just bear with us, guys, I think is what we're trying to say.
We just wanted to address the elephant in the room, really.
Absolutely.
Because it seemed wrong not to mention him, because that's all we've been thinking about lately, and that's why we haven't been maybe as chitty-chatty on the old socials and all of those things. But, he wouldn't want everyone to just stop doing everything, so we're trying to carry on as we can, like everyone does when they experience a horrible event like that. So
just want to thank everyone for kind of bearing with us and supporting us as well.
100%. I mean, I have to share this story because it's Kris all over, and obviously at his funeral, anyone who would know Kris or knows Kris's personality is that he was brought into the Imperial Death March from Star Wars. I mean, that just sets the scene.
And everyone in the room was kind of smirking and feeling like, oh, should I be smirking? This is not right. But you absolutely should have been smirking. He would have absolutely loved that.
Yeah, he would.
And it suited him just perfectly.
Absolutely.
And it was, a real fitting tribute to the guy.
Yeah. Especially when the people obviously running the whole show walked in first, and they walk at a kind of pace, don't they?
Yes.
So it was the exact same pace as like the
Imperial
March. Yeah.
It was a very weird, surreal
surreal.
afternoon, evening, and but no, I mean, we're gonna miss the crap out.
Lots of tears and lots of laughs as well, though. So that's, that was kind of him all over. It was laughs, wasn't it? So.
But we want to thank listeners, and we're going to crack on. We're going to carry on, and we'll get back to our new normal.
Yeah,
which will be what it will be, and but we still want to talk about board games.
Yes,
in fact, it helps us. I'm sure it's helped me playing games, talking about games, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah. So let's talk about Hex. This is the segment where we're going to talk about all the games we've kind of been playing recently, or what games we've been playing recently. There's no more about it.
You're trying to think of a new way to introduce it.
Yeah, I was, and it failed. It fell flat, So let's start with you, JP. What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot. No change there.
That's a surprise. Yeah,
there's
exactly.
A surprise. Which one do I pick? I'm actually going to pick a game that I haven't played multiplayer yet.
Ooh.
And I've only been playing solo, but I can't wait to get this to the table with everyone, which we will in about a week's time. And that's Skymines. So Skymines is a re-implementation of an old game designed by Alexander Pfister, who has done Great Western Trail, Maracaibo, Boone Lake, and others that I can't remember. Blackout, Hong Kong, there's another one. And this re-implementation of Mombasa, which came out in 2015, and it's basically reskinned all of the colonial historical controversial theme has been stripped away.
I was just about to say, why did they reskin it? But that's why.
That's why.
Makes total sense. And
it was rightly so, I think.
Yeah, because the game itself has been quite highly regarded, and I think the problem with it was its theme. Basically, a lot of the barriers to entry for the game. So they stripped it back and made it sci-fi. And essentially, instead of exploiting kind of areas of Africa, you are now kind of exploiting the moon, which is a lot easier to kind of get your head around. But the game itself, I kind of wasn't that interested in it initially, and I think the name was like, well, Skymines sounds weird. Do you know what I mean? Well, what is it? Until I started looking at the videos, as you do, and then that's where the hooks start getting in. And
did you know it was a reskin, or were you just kind of coming in?
Yeah.
So had you played the original?
No, I hadn't played the original. Wasn't really interested in the original, and I just happened to watch a playthrough because I was away in London. And I sometimes just do. I think, I'll have a little 10 minutes on this, and then I watch
only 10 minutes,
and then I watch the whole thing. Well, this is great. But anyway, what is it? What's the kind of game? It's kind of you play as investors, and obviously set in the future, 50, 100 years in the future, and you are investing in one or many companies of 4 that are establishing a kind of control on the moon. That's basically mining for resources and helium and all sorts of different stuff. And you don't control any of the companies per se, you invest in them. And at its heart, the kind of core mechanics of it, which is the bit I actually really enjoy, it reminds me a bit of a Tricarium, where you've got your kind of hand of cards and you're playing at the start 3 cards at the bottom of your player board, and then you can do various things by spending those cards or researching kind of technology tracks or all sorts of different actions that you can do, or you can use those cards or resources to invest in the companies that are around. And then if you invest in certain companies, there are a lot of benefits that you can access from that company. Nice. And you kind of then trying to work out, okay, which companies do I want to back and which companies do I want to help expand onto the moon and
sounds like deciding between Kickstarters or not.
Yeah,
like,
it's a bit like that. Which ones do I
back?
Which ones don't?
Yeah.
Which one's going to arrive?
And I think that's the genius of the game, is that you get up to a certain point in these tracks and you'll start getting shares. And then once you get one or multiple shares, it's dependent upon the company's value. And it's very simply done. It's like the more outposts the company has, the more coins is revealed. And then it's basically the share times the amount of coins revealed is the value of the company. So it's very
income as well.
It doesn't give you an income, but it gives you a fact that basically you're all working against each other to get as much
value out of the stocks.
So if you're investing heavily in the yellow company, and I'm like, I better get in on some of that action and start getting some shares in it, which you can get off the tracks, you can get off cards you buy as well from the shop. And it's very interesting. So it's not like that's my company, I'm working it. It's like if someone's doing all the hard work, you want to piggyback off it.
Yeah.
And it leads to some interesting kind of plays as well. But yeah, it's got
capitalism in a nutshell.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Absolutely. But it plays really nice, fluid, and yes, and a lot of meat to it as well. So it's very interesting decision space. And
sounds like my street. Anyway.
Yeah.
If it plays well solo, that's probably quite a good,
indication.
Indication. That's the word. Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah. If it plays well solo, that's probably quite a good indication that it will be good as a multiplayer, because normally things fall flat when you try and play them single player. So
I think the more players the better, because you've got all 4 companies
all the stocks
vying for control of the moon. And if you know that someone's got 8 shares in the purple company, well, you're probably going to want to start devaluing that company as much as possible by encroaching and pulling outposts back off the moon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot.
So you can do that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of interaction or player interaction that you can
that'll
do.
be interesting.
Not directly, but directly to the companies that they're backing, and you're like, ooh, interesting. So you're always looking what shares has everyone got, and what's the position, and I'm enjoying it.
Was it Legacy with Stuart that we played? Was it?
Legacies, yeah.
Yeah, Legacies. Yeah. That reminds me of that kind of stock market, but obviously that mechanic as a whole game instead, with obviously broken down mechanics. And
but sounds good. Yeah, there's elements of like card management and some worker placement in there as well, so you can kind of access certain spots on the board, do things, buy cards and stuff. But yeah, it blends really nicely.
Nice. I
think that a lot of people should enjoy it.
What's that called?
Skymines.
Skymines.
Mining the sky, which is in space. Don't get it.
Don't know why, but when I heard about it, it reminded me of that. What's that other game where you build a town in the air? The one you sold, and then you start off on the sea,
Oh, flotilla.
Flotilla.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's all I could think of was flotilla when you started saying Skymines. But what were you mining if you're just floating on a on a balloon in the sky? It's not what you mine. Yeah, exactly.
Oxygen.
Whereas the moon makes more sense.
Yes, that does make more sense.
Yeah. So cool.
That's me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it sounds good. How about you, Becky?
I've only really played one game recently, and that was Caverna, in anticipation
which we're
for
going to
this
talk about
podcast.
later.
Yeah. Really good.
Not played anything else? Any other little games?
Oh, Scouts. Yeah, we played Scout, and actually that arrived a couple of days ago because I bought it. Yeah, of course.
Everyone should have a copy of Scout.
It's great.
Yes, I need to get a copy of Scout.
I did get a bit confused to start with the number and the two different numbers on the card. What's this about? But it totally makes sense when you've played it
when
in
it clicks.
2 minutes. It's just brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. And yeah, in typical fashion, Adrian also bought Clover, and I bought that as well. So, they were like 15 quid, and I thought, well, do you know what? Actually, these are really, really good entryway games into just kind of easy party games, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
start chanting one of us at people after they've played it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really.
So I'm just bringing out Gaia Project now. Now we've played this.
No, you can take your Gaia folder and you can absolutely shove that one. But no, Scout I thought was really good. I really liked that. So
have we spoke about Scout before?
I don't think we have.
So how does it work?
It reminds me of something like poker in the fact that you've got kind of this ranking of goodness, for want of a better word. So one card on its own, then it's the highest. Then trumped that, you get 2 cards are the same, and then 2 cards in a row. Is that the right order?
A run, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 cards in a run is better, and then 3 cards are the same, or 3 cards in a run. So you basically have your hand, and that is, you can't move things around. You have got it in that order.
That's the genius of the game.
That's the genius of the game. But you could also turn your hand upside down and look at the other numbers on the end to see if that's a better mix. So then you basically, if you've got a hand like a foot and it's just a bag of crap, then you're just going to have to put the highest card that you've got down. Let's say hopefully you're starting, so you got like a 7. So the next person either has to beat that card with either a higher card or a pair of something or 3 of a kind or whatever, or they have to take your card back, in which case the person that laid it gets a little Brucey bonus VP. So then the theme again tacked on like
it's
crazy.
So tacked on.
Doesn't need one, does it?
No, allegedly, but it helped me kind of get to grips with what we were doing. So allegedly, you have like a circus act, and you are playing an act out like trapeze artists or. I don't know, whatever. It's just numbers. It doesn't matter what. They've got little names on the cards as well, like Kimberly and Darren.
I did not even know that.
So you're basically having people that are doing a circus act, and then the next person has to beat that act by either having a higher number or whatever, or they have to scout one of your amazing circus people and pick that card up. But that's the beauty of it. You can then put it in your hand anywhere you like. So you can kind of watch out for certain numbers and then filter them into your hand however you like to make your hand better for next time.
I think I did that with that one hand that I won where I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to pick that card up. Or I'm going to pick that card up. And then did it like cards, 3 times. Yeah, and then just came out with a big old 7.
It's looking at your hand and going, right, if I play that pair in the middle, then it smushes the ones outside closer together, and that creates that opportunity. It's just very clever.
It's very for such a simple little game, and it's in a very small box, and it is just a deck of cards, special cards and tokens. Yeah,
I wonder how they linked one number with the other number, whether it's completely random.
Well, I was trying to look at patterns because I'm a bit of a kind of,
whether there's a pattern or sequence.
Is there a pattern forms and getting a bit
pattern must see.
I couldn't
I think there's
discern.
one of every combination, isn't there?
I think there probably is because
it wasn't obvious.
The one that you had on the table did not necessarily correlate, and I was thinking, a 9's always with 1s to kind of balance the good number for the bad number, and they're not. No. So there probably is some kind of.
I don't think there could be, because that'd be a hell of a lot of cards otherwise.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not a mathematician.
No.
There probably is some kind of algorithm going on somewhere.
Yeah, I just wondered whether they used a program to. This is just my brain working now. Being like, why do they use a program
that's what
to run
I was.
it?
I have
Listeners,
to
if you know, let us know.
It wasn't apparent if there was, but there must be some higher purpose.
Yeah.
She says, must be some higher purpose in the world somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Fibonacci.
Because the problem is using the program to do it is it's not. They have to make it so it's not actually random. Because if they do it random, you get obviously the same
9
events
and a 9,
coming up,
absolutely.
which doesn't feel random, but it is random.
But everyone should go out and buy Scout.
Should.
15 quid. Oink Games.
Oink Games.
Is it another Oink Games?
Yeah,
Is it?
just very small. Really, really fun.
So they do all the little small package
box.
games, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so clever. Brilliant. Loved that.
So I've
It's
got
kind of
the-
a word association game.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to buy a physical copy, I'd say why not? Because you should.
And you get a little pen and it's
You,
cool.
you can get the digital copy from the Oink Games
Oh,
app.
can you?
So you can also play it on your phone.
I think I might have to
Okay.
download that, you know.
I've got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
We
think-
played a lot of the Fake Artist Goes to New York on my phone with my family when we went to Rome. It was brilliant fun. So
Oh yeah, I've heard that one's going to be really good.
they love it. So it's just quite nice. And I think it had Deep Sea Adventure on for free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So-
so I've got Deep
yeah.
Sea Adventure. That's
So,
one of the ones I do have of Oink.
Nice. So there you go, listeners.
That's a good push your luck game as well.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really fun. Really enjoyed that.
Nice.
yeah.
What about
which
you?
leads on to me.
To you.
To me.
To you.
To me. So, we played Inventions.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
We did
We
play,
played
yes.
Inventions a long time ago now, but it's a new Lacerda game that's going to be coming onto Kickstarter
Yeah, June,
at some point.
I think.
June, I think.
Yeah.
So we got to have a play and a kind of like a test. And my thoughts is it's a very combo heavy, really good crunchy Lacerda, and Lacerdas are crunchy anyway. But
Yeah.
this is, to be fair, this has the most theme out of any of the Lacerdas I've played, other than maybe on Mars. On Mars has a nice theme to it, and in fact, I was saying that I guess. For Euros, his aren't that bad theme wise because of Lisboa actually fits in quite nicely. But the invention side of it, you put inventions forward, but then other people can kind of actually. It's not they invent it, but they
No, you kind of have an
promote
idea,
it.
don't you?
Yeah, have an idea. That's it.
Yeah.
You have an idea. They can then invent it, and then it can then get built or like thrown out into the world. And this all affects your VPs. It then affects like this little like area control bit of the board where you can then use that area control. You've got your they're like philosophers that go out. You've got your engineers that go out. You've got your artists that go out, and you've got you have to use these in different segments to get different ideas. Use them to pay for certain actions. You kind of use them to do everything. And then out of Lacerda's, he's probably got the most actions I've seen.
I wouldn't
on
say
a
it's the
board.
most, but it's...
Most basic actions to pick, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's 10, I think.
there's 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that has a little thing where you can't go in the same row as where you've previously been.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's 5 rows of 2 actions, and then there's a limitation of if you go and select one of the 2 at the top, you can't then put your other action pawn to select the other one.
Okay.
You're like locked out. So you're like,
That reminds me
"Ooh."
of some things in Uwe Games. Just
Yeah,
saying.
interesting, yeah.
Just segueing on there.
Yeah, it just that makes it feel really tight. And then you had chain actions off of that though, so you might be like, oh, I can't do that action because I can't do that, and then you're like, oh, but I could chain off and do this, and that means I then do that, and then do this, and then do this.
It's a lot of that.
And it's just like bang, which I didn't realise till about halfway through because I misunderstood the rules. So I kept thinking, because we played it online because obviously there's no physical copy yet. I kept thinking, how are they doing so much? I just have my turn, and I'm like, I can't really do anything else. And then, about halfway through, I went, oh, yeah, I've not been resetting my chains properly. So,
Sounds like a game that Curly would like, old Combo Curly. But I know he doesn't like Lacerda, so...
Well,
you need to convince him to
he's
play
only
another
played one
Lacerda game.
Lacerda.
Yeah, I think he'd give it a go, but it sounds like if you can chain things off of things, that sounds absolutely his
Yeah.
thing.
It is the most combo-y of his that I've played.
Yeah,
Just-
and there's still a lot of actions, but there's a little bit less to do than on Mars in some sense, because you're just kind of getting ideas out there that then give you other benefits. So there's more combos and off of your actions, and there's lots of, actually saying that you then build, I've forgotten, your player board, where you then build tiles which chain off VPs or can give you
God.
benefits from stuff that you're putting on your board.
Just nice and simple then, just like a typical
it's not
Lacerda.
simple.
Typical Lacerda.
Definitely not simple, but
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
It was very. I mean, JP whooped me. He absolutely whooped me.
Listeners, he's got a very smug face right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's always nice to whoop you at anything.
Well, well, the last Weather Machine, you really. And that's another one we played, Weather Machine. But we've spoke about that, and I love it.
Yeah.
But you're only a point behind.
1 point.
So.
I was chuffed with that.
Yeah. Well,
Chuffed to get past 80 points in that game. But there we go.
It was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've been playing. The only ones I played recently have been Lacerda's. Surprise. But I do have Skymines coming up, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, next week. Yeah,
that should be good.
No, look out for Inventions. I mean, I'm sure there's that. I think there's some playthroughs up now on certain channels that Vitol's actually gone round and gone over to the States recently and done some. So if you want to look at what's coming up, you can actually see a playthrough. Because I'm sure we've our one play online isn't really going to give you any strategic value.
No,
whatsoever.
definitely not. Definitely
but
not.
It's cool.
I really like the finished product of this.
Yeah.
I think Weather Machine and Inventions are probably going to be my two new faves of his.
Nice.
So there we go. That's what I've been playing. And now on to the main segment where we're going to talk about Uwe. So Uwe, I think he's quite polarising by nature.
Uwe who?
Uwe Rosenberg.
Ah, that one.
That dude.
There we
That,
go.
all the
From all the
other
Uves
Uves,
we
yeah.
know in board games, but I think it can be quite polarising in some aspects. But also, I think that people that do enjoy his games seem to enjoy like the vast majority of his games. I say he's more accessible than a lot of designers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. However, I do have a bit of a caveat.
Yeah.
I think if I had... Normally, my vein is, right, I'm going to watch the play video, because if I don't watch that, I don't want to play it, and I get grumpy that it's the first play, and I have a little bit of a cob on. If I'd have watched any of those playthroughs of his games, I don't think I would have wanted to play them.
No.
Because there's such a lot of bits, there's such a lot of board space, there's such a lot of pieces, and I don't find that intimidating necessarily when I'm playing a game. If I was watching it on telly and watching like a playthrough on YouTube or something, I'd have been like, oh no, check out, not interested.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
So it is accessible, actually playing it, but that would have been a 100% barrier for me. I'd have been like, nope, done, not interested.
Yeah.
And I've loved every single one I've played of his.
I find his games, they're usually like a bit of a visual kind of kaleidoscope. You look at it and you're just like, visual feast. There we go. And they can be a little bit daunting, but when they click.
Yeah, they all make sense. The design and the iconography is great.
Yeah.
But I agree, they are very busy.
And you don't need a lot of the time you don't need actually any words on any of his stuff, other than Caverna, which has it on the actions, but like Feast for Odin and stuff like that, a lot of it's done just by visual, just done by symbology instead. But yeah, so the games we have played, we've got. Should we go through his big list and then, because there's probably games we're going to miss. I'm sorry if we haven't played any of the games that maybe are your favourites, but please let us know if there's any that I've missed that we definitely should play. But you've played one of his biggest.
I have. I've not played many of them.
No.
But I've played his probably most famous one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agricola,
Yeah.
So, now, is it Agricola or is it Agricola?
Agricola,
okay.
Yeah, which is the farming simulator one.
Yeah, medieval farming in the 16th century or something?
Yes.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Excitement
I think so.
stations all round. I mean,
most of his themes usually to do with food, really.
They are.
There's a lot of food in there. Yeah, farming.
Farming related stuff.
He's big on his agriculture.
Yeah.
Then we've got Caverna, which was really good. We'll talk about that more in a second.
Love that.
Feast for Odin, which I own and played, and I absolutely loved. It was one of my first Uves. There's Patchwork, which Becky's played, I think, but that's one of the smaller ones.
Yep.
Then there's what's the other quote? Framework.
Framework. Yeah.
No, Patchwork is the quote one. That one, Framework's the
framey one.
The framey one.
Yeah.
There
Squares
we go.
one from
And then I'm sure I'm missing out some now.
Atiwa,
there we go. Atiwa, which was one of his most recent ones,
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed.
Reykholt.
Reykholt,
Yeah.
thank you. And Reykholt's the other one we played, which was really good. It's towards the lighter end. But we'll start off talking about Agricola. Why not? Let's throw you out on the spot.
Yeah, throw me on the spot because I played this game at UK Games Expo 2019, maybe even 2018.
Nice. Rewind.
Yeah, and even then it was old.
Was it? So we won't start with you.
I can
on.
honestly, I remember it. I remember playing it because I really wanted to play it. I've heard about Agricola from obviously being in the hobby, and when you're in the hobby, it's probably one of the staples that everyone would.
Yeah. I can't believe I've not played it.
It's referenced a lot. It's referenced a lot,
and for good reason, because it's bloody brilliant. Yeah. To be honest, I played through it and just loved it. Absolutely loved it. I mean, it's bleak, right? Yeah. Because you've got your family, and you can create more workers by pairing your mum and dad and creating babies, and then suddenly you get another worker. Yeah. But instantly, because it's a board game. And
instantly, because they're Victorian, you send them in mine and up the chimney shaft straight away.
But you're also farming, so you've got like your house on the right and you've got fields on the left. And if you play Caverna, I think it's very, very similar. And you're creating fences. And again, these are just like wooden sticks that you're putting down, and you put your sheep in there, cows in there, you're breeding them, you're doing all this sort of stuff. But like most farming kind of games, you gotta keep everyone fed. Yep. And if you don't keep everyone fed, then I don't know what the specific term is in the game. I don't think anyone dies, but you kind of get shamed.
Usually, which is minus VP.
Yeah, you get punished for the fact that you were crap at managing resources. But it's hard. It's a worker placement game. Yeah. So you've all got these player boards where you kind of doing your own farming shenanigans. And then in the middle of the board, you've got all the action kind of worker placement spots where you're getting, picking wood up, or you're getting pumpkins or whatever it may be.
Or different fruits. He loves a pumpkin.
Yeah, it's a great resource, right?
Yeah.
And you can do some conversion stuff. You can do this, and then there are cards that you can get that'll give you abilities and all kinds of stuff. But I'm going back 5-6 years, so my memory is not hot. I want to play it again. Yeah. Because and I know they've just done a 15th anniversary edition, big box. I'm not sure I want to get a big box of it, but I'm just keen to play the game.
Because there's a lot of expansions for Agricola. Yes. And I think Caverna is pretty much the same game, just a little bit
dwarfy,
yeah.
It's
fantasy.
Got, and
it's obviously got differences, and it is a different game. It's got a little bit more to it, I think. More actions, a little bit more, few more choices. Which is why part of me is like, I don't really need to play. I will play Agricola.
I don't think you need
to
own it.
I don't think I need to own it because you're farming again, and this is the similarities. You've got your cave on one side, and then you've got this big open field on the other side, which is to start off with just like wild. Yeah. And then you've got these limited actions. The very first round in front of you, and you send your dwarfs to the action, and you do the thing. Which you can excavate and start building more rooms, and these rooms give you benefits, or you can start chopping down the trees and making plots and fields that will grow you food.
Yeah. Little pastures.
Funnily enough, guess what you have to do with all these dwarves that you get? You have to bloody feed them.
You have to feed them, don't you?
What I really liked when I was playing, I managed to excavate one little room in the cavern that I could then change. I can't think what it was called, but it meant that I could feed one dwarf either wood,
stone,
wood, stone, or coal.
It's
making him eat that instead of no meat for you. You're eating coal.
Brilliant.
I quite liked that.
One that literally lived off dirt.
Yep.
The dirt dwarf. So and then these as one of those rooms. These rooms will have powers and as you go along. It's a deck of cards, which the actions that come out, so they'll be different each time. And you can breed your dwarfs, but you have to have the rooms for them and have the room, and you have more actions. And then by the end of it, you've got a load of different actions that you can pick, but you've also got more people. Yeah. And then it's got a very similar mechanic, which is expeditions, as to what Feast of Odin has, where you start giving the dwarfs weapons, you send them out, and then they can get things. And it's the only way sometimes they go on an expedition and they just find a cow out somewhere in the woods somewhere, or they're fighting all these things, and cow, that's what I came here for.
Beans,
that's it,
Very much like
I sold the cow for beans. What have you done?
And then it's got a breeding phase, which is similar to, well, it's one of the things he likes, and then you can breed more, and then you just end up with lots of animals, and then you can get a room that scores VPs for them. So everyone's got like a different strategy on the board as well. One time, all I did was pretty much excavate rubies and just made a load of mines, and I was proper like destroying the land and just like getting a load of rubies for my VP, and that was like my engine, you know. So it's a very cool game. There's some nice expansions out there by the looks of it that give you kind of like asymmetric powers, so you can be like the elves and
different
like
tribes kind
of. Be different tribes.
I'd be interested to play that. That sounds quite cool.
It looks really cool. So I'm thoroughly enjoying that game.
It sounds so similar though. Like when you say it's reminding me of Agricola and going, oh yeah, that's the same.
That's it. Yeah, you need quite a big table, I would say, because your boards aren't particularly big, but you're kind of the board that you're choosing things from, and your thousands and thousands of pots full of pumpkins, dogs, sheep, wood, and the woods look very similar to the cows. Not gonna lie.
I know.
Bits of coal, the pieces are beautiful though, really, really lovely. But you do need quite a lot of space.
So there's a common theme with all of his, or most of his, other than his small, lighter games, is that he just seems to like chucking them like load of pieces. You always have a load of bits. The box is always big and heavy and chunky, and it's because you get a lot in there, and it's good. Like I like the whole tactile part of that, but inserts I think are a necessity. Feast for Odin had an insert, and I eventually got rid of Feast for Odin, even though I liked it so much, because setup was just becoming a bit of an issue, and
how many tiles?
When we played Caverna, it did take us quite a little while to set up. Well, I say I did nothing. I was eating a bacon sandwich, but you and Tambo were setting it up, and it took a long time. I was there watching you for ages while I was eating my sandwich.
So this sandwich is great.
And the difference between that and Feast, though, I think, is I would definitely look at that and be like, I don't mind setting it up. Whereas Feast, I got to a point where I feel like I kind of figured it out. But what games did you say you played again?
So Patchwork is a very easy kind of turn-based build a patchwork quilt on your thing. Get minus points for little holes in it. It's like a kind of a... You can't just pick any piece. You've got a section of pieces that you can have, and then the next turn you can have this many or that many. You collect little buttons as you put your pieces on. They allow you to... it's been ages since I played. I've only played the game one time, I must confess. It's very beautiful, though, in typical Uwe sort of fashion.
It looks good,
Very pretty, but in a quaint kind of... not
because it's a two-player one, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's not overtly... It's not shiny. It's kind of quite calming. Yes, all his games have got that kind of same theme of... very kind of parochial, just a little farmhouse.
My thoughts on Uwe Rosenberg Games, they feel like a Sunday afternoon. The fire's on, it's comfy. I'm very relaxed.
Definitely.
And that's how I get it. Every one I've played feels
they really
that
have
way.
that kind of warming feeling. And I played the first one of his I played probably was Patchwork. No, I think it actually was Feast for Odin as a big game, but I didn't recollect that was Uwe, I have to say.
No.
So I played Patchwork when we bought that quite a little while ago. But the first one that I knew who he was when I had the game was Framework, and I actually won that this time last year at the 24-hour board game marathon.
Nice.
Just a little, everyone buy your tickets for that, come along, it is great. But
there was put a link in the show notes.
There was an amazing raffle, and Curly's ticket won that, and he just looked at the box and gave it straight to me, which is fine, and I was very pleased for it. So it sat on the shelf for quite some time. Thought, I'll watch a video for that. I didn't watch a video for it, and again, I'm actually quite pleased I didn't. Now it's not very complicated. You've just got little square pieces that have got different colour frames around them, and you're basically trying to build. When you play those kind of bubble popping games on your phone, where you've got to kind of get an area that's all blue bubbles and you can pop all of them, and you're trying to kind of smush stuff together so you can get all of one other colour. That's kind of like Framework, only inside the centre of the little frame you've got maybe a number on it, so you're trying to get a little chain of that amount of yellow ones or green ones or whatever, and you can play it solo, and I played it solo while you guys were playing some other game that I didn't fancy at the time. And what a fantastic way of passing, 45 minutes. It reminds me of doing a Sudoku or playing a little game of railroad ink on your own. Just that kind of little. I want a little pause. I want a little kind of puzzle, solitaire type puzzle. Really fun because when you play it sort of solo, you've got kind of like a little bit of cardboard. It is just a piece of cardboard they've drawn little squares on. You kind of got 3 chances, and you can kind of put them on your sideboard and maybe come back to use them straight away because you have to use the pieces as you get them. You pull them out of a bag, so you've kind of got this little sideboard of chances.
Maybe later.
Yes, exactly that.
Hopefully these will be useful.
Yeah, because they're absolutely not useful at the minute.
It reminds me of when you're saying about the mobile games. It's kind of like a mobile game, but board game
it is.
version of it.
There's not a lot of setup. You're just kind of trying to. I believe in Framework, you're trying to keep it to like might even be 7x7, or you've got like a parameter. Yeah, you've got and I think if you go out of that, then you start getting minus points. I mean, I could be wrong with this, and people that are like massive Uwe, like, what are you talking about, you fool? It's nothing like that at all. That's how I remember it. So you've got restrictions, but it's fairly, open play. And I just thought it was really brilliant. I was just determined to beat my score then.
Sounds good.
I wanted to. So I played it again, and
it sounds like my kind of solo game is not much setup, because I think that's the hardest thing to get me at a solo game is the setup side of it.
Exactly. Well, this is a bag.
Whereas I could turn the computer on and be like, there we go.
Yeah, I think it would translate really well. In fact, actually, I played more Patchwork on Steam than I played in real life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
But I think it isn't supported on Steam anymore, or something gone a bit awry with it. You can't play it anymore. Maybe it wasn't Steam then, but it was. I don't think it must have been, because I don't think I've got any other gaming capabilities on my computer. It's just really. It's a really fun. Both of them are just really fun. That was a nice little out.
Which could lead us into Reykholt, which is one of his lighter ones as well. Which was kind of like a game to do with food, and kind of not really. You weren't. Well, I suppose you are farming, but it was kind of more of like personal farming. It was more like
you're trying to
do show vegetables instead.
Yeah, and you're trying to feed tables all the way around.
Yeah, it might be that.
It might be Icelandic, but there's nothing.
Yes, because I think it was you.
Reykholt is a place, isn't it?
Yeah, and then it was like you bring all this food to the table, and then you serve it in the tables, and you have to have certain quotas that you meet. But it's got a cool little mechanic where you try and get as much veg and everything as you can. You have a harvest phase, which depending on what seeds you planted, etc., you get that there, and then you show it to tables. And so the first table might need 1 tomato. So you give you 1 tomato. But I didn't get a mushroom that turn. But you can, one time in this show phase, you can skip that table.
And by skipping, you actually receive that. It's almost like you're stealing someone else's next table. So it's you can only do that one time. So you might have your 1 tomato, and then you think, I haven't got any mushrooms, so I'll have those mushrooms. And you kind of whip them onto your area. But then you do have the 3 carrots for the next table, and you absolutely also have 4 pumpkins or whatever. So you can keep going up tables until you have either done the swap shop thing, or you've fulfilled all your. I think it would work really well as a computer, actually. Yeah, and it had a nice, like, if you get a power, the person next to you can also share that power, but no one else can then get that power. So it had some cool little mechanics, and then in the in-between, so it's worker placement, which is kind of the standard for his more engine-y ones, but it was very light, but it still had a nice conversion feel to it, like a nice Euro conversion side to it. So for the lighter end, it really appealed to me, actually, and I really enjoyed it. I think there's the restriction, so it isn't completely open world. You've got certain, I think it's four different kind of tracks of things that you can choose to do with your turn, and you can't put your next action on a similar level of. So I think there's a few actions that are the really good ones, and you can't put both of your pieces on the really good ones. So you're kind of limited with that. So that is good. And you're definitely thinking, don't you put them. Don't get those seeds. Don't get. We didn't get them. Oh no, but you've got them now. Damn it! I've got to rethink my whole strategy.
Yeah,
and that's
I
really
love that
good.
in games because I think it just makes you. You have to really not forward plan loads, because I think when you have to forward plan about 7 turns ahead, then it just crumbles, doesn't it?
I've lost interest by then.
Even if it's just 1 or 2, and thinking, right, if if I go there, then I can't do that then, and I have to go there. Oh.
Yeah.
And I love that little inner turmoil you get as a player.
Absolutely.
And he's just
Definitely.
trying to work out how you're going to get around this puzzle.
All his
how it
games
works.
have that inner turmoil kind of, oh, damn it, you've gone on that thing and I wanted that thing.
Kind of like a puzzly nature, but
Yeah.
we'll kind of go over all of his mechanics after we've gone through some of his, like the rest of his games, I guess. Which next one would be Feast for Odin. I've kind of mentioned it, but I don't really explain what it is.
What is it?
What is it? So you're Vikings,
Hey.
and you're travelling around, and basically you're just looting places as well as getting food and having feasts. And it's kind of got like a Tetris board.
Yeah.
Where you have to then build up, and then the gold is like these little one single pieces that can go anywhere. And now I'm talking about it, I really want to play it again, but I've sold it. And then it has this worker placement board where you can go out, and it's got a little bit of randomness where if you go whaling, you roll some dice as well. It's got some like items that you can craft that are weird shapes that you put down, and you build this Tetris board up. You can go and explore islands and get another Tetris board if you're doing so well on your previous Tetris board, and build up all of your stocks there and your food. And obviously when you eat, they have to come off your board.
Yeah.
And so you have to come off of the board, or
He loves
you
that
can have a storage
that
thing.
paying for your
Paying
turns.
for,
and he loves that kind
he
of
does.
thing,
I
doesn't
think it's got a very like you have to pay, or everything's worth something.
Yeah.
So like
Got to
there's
pay
no
the price for what
there's
you
no
want to do.
freebies in
Yeah.
life, exactly.
Yeah.
You got to work for what you get, and I think so. That's led to all of his games that we've played, and we've kind of given you a brief description, but.
The only thing with Feast, though, just quickly before you wrap that up, the only thing I remember about Feast, and again it's been a while, is that action selection board. Like when I first sat down to play it, it was like, right,
so
which of the 37 actions do you want to do?
Yeah.
Because it's just like you said, symbols as well. It's like, well, you can go hunting, you can fishing, you can whale, you can do this and you can do that, and you're like, I have no idea. But weirdly, like after a round or two, those it probably isn't 30 odd. I'm embellishing, but I don't know. It seems to tighten that action selection up a lot more. It becomes obvious what you want to
do, what strategy you want to then go down.
Yeah, it's quite clever.
That was one of those things with Feast. Is I kind of felt like whaling was too powerful.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of ways you could end up negating its downside and going out on expeditions, and it kind of maybe that was the meta like gaming that we had then found, and it was. But I really enjoyed the game I think I got about, because my family really enjoyed playing it as well, which is rare, but it seems like they like all Uwe games.
I think he's got a wide appeal. I was just about to say, who do we think most of his games are kind of aimed at? And I would say they're kind of crunchy enough for true gamers, in inverted commas, whatever that might mean to people, to want to play. But I think for people like me that prefer something a bit more light-hearted, it doesn't have to be lighter, but it's light-hearted. You're not sitting there, like you said, kind of trying to work out your 7th action in a row. I just have no interest in doing that. That does not make fun for me.
Yeah.
So I think there's enough complexity in order to try and get a really good little thing going, but you've not got really an engine to build. You haven't got to spend half your game toiling away to make your thing. The stuff is quite immediate, and I quite like that. I think.
Yeah.
So
a lot of stuff isn't combo heavy, is it?
Yeah, for someone whose attention span might be a little bit shorter, I think these games are fabulous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because although you don't play simultaneously, the goes are so quick. Like you're picking a thing, build a seed, plant your thing. It's not like this, then this, that equals that. Oh wait, can I do that? How many have you got? This, that. There's none of that. It's your go is your go, and then you can sit and think about how. But even if there was 5 of you playing, turns don't take forever, and I really like that. So
and
I think
turns make sense, which sounds weird in a board game, but like one, he always tries to make it so that what you're doing makes sense in some kind of aspect, as to the board wise. So when you're playing Atiwa, at first you're like, well, why the hell are bats going out? And why are we making bats work? And then there's a whole little book at the back that actually they do that.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing in Atiwa which was quite cool. But also his turns make sense in the fact that once you do this thing, you can then convert it for this thing. And you're like, okay, then I'll be able to use that for that. and you can see a path in front of you,
Yeah.
and it's quite easy to determine what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of my family enjoy those games more than some of the other games I brought
They
out.
get lost, don't they? Otherwise, yeah.
But it has the complexity that I enjoy, as well as the simplicity that people can pick up and enjoy.
Yeah, I think they are easy to understand and potentially hard to master if you want to go down that road, but you don't have to still enjoy the game.
Yeah.
I think I really like how there's always phases. So there's the it's Uwe, there's harvests, because he loves that.
Yep.
So there's a harvest phase, there's a, let's say a breeding phase or a growing phase or a something. There's
The love phase.
yeah, they're separated and they're kind of obvious,
Bow
aren't
chicka
they?
wow.
The Barry White phase.
But I like the fact that it's. I mean, okay, Framework doesn't have that at all, but Atiwa is a really good sort of one for that. It looks absolutely daunting when you first see it, and it's just like, oh my
That long board of like oranges.
Everything, and you're like, this leads to this, and if you can't feed, then you pollute, and if you're like, what? But yeah, thanks to Joel from Devon Dice giving us that. I mean, what was it, like 10-minute, just quick, this, then this, then this.
Yeah.
That was enough to totally make it playable.
Oh, absolutely, it made sense. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then once it made sense, I taught it the next day to everyone, and everyone picked up pretty quickly, and we played.
We were hungover at the time, so that was a win.
The pieces are really cute. The pieces are really nice, like you said earlier. They're really tactile. And that game is kind of like an eco. He's kind of really gone heavy in the ecology of this, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So you've got a load of native peoples in an area,
In Ghana.
and you are in Ghana. Okay, cool. And you are kind of helping them live more ecologically by teaching them about these bats
and teaching them how to live and be self-sustaining.
Yeah, rather than not doing it and polluting the environment, and then you can't do other things on that land anymore because you've ruined some of the spaces. So the kind of more ecological you are, the better it is in the long term.
Board game wise, I don't know if there's a pollution strategy though, which wouldn't be good in real life.
No.
Whether you can get a load of VPs from polluting all your areas, I don't know.
It'll probably go against what he was trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Atiwa it's a combination of the two. I think it's got, again, he's taken segments from his other games, and I think it hits like the in between one of his lighter ones, say Reykholt, along with like one of say his heavier ones, which is Agricola.
Maybe it's because when I was being taught it by you, you already knew how to play Caverna lots. You'd played it a huge amount, and you hadn't played Atiwa. I found Caverna so much easier than Atiwa was.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because there's slightly different kind of phases that make maybe not as much sense. Okay, why is it easy to imagine dwarves in mines and it is to imagine fruit bats that are actually legit real and that actually does happen?
But this isn't real.
Yeah, but I just found,
this is fantasy.
Dwarves, you put them two together and then they make a baby dwarf that you then have to feed, and you can just, you can shove coal in its face instead of wood. Oh, yeah, of course, this makes total sense. Yeah. Bats and fruit, though, I can't understand what's going on here. It was, but definitely with that, if I'd have watched a video, I would not have played that game.
Yeah. So with Caverna, it starts with a condensed amount of actions you can do. So already you're thinking, oh, but I need to do that, but I can't do a lot of that. Oh, so I'm just going to do this because there's nothing else to do, which actually is a good way to start and learn it, because you're just like, well, I'm just going to do that. And then when you start going along, you're like, oh, well, now this is slotting in with this strategy. Yeah, no one else is doing it. I can then do this. And so it is actually, even though, I think on BGG it sits at like a 3.8 weight or something.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Even though it sits at a heavy weight.
You're a heavy gamer, Becky.
I'm even able to get a badge and everything now.
Yeah, you do.
3.8.
It's easy to pick up and play.
100%.
And that is actually really hard to do for a game, I think.
It's a talent, that.
And that's what he has definitely got a very kind of, I want to say like an engineer mind of how things slot together, and it makes sense, and you can see the cogs turning.
Yeah. Maybe it's just, maybe Davey, that is just like a testament to your teaching abilities, because it didn't feel like a 3.8. That definitely
I just think I think it's his design. I don't think it's my teaching. I think it's literally his design. Because
it guides you through the game.
Yeah.
So you're right. When you've got a limited amount of options on round one, you're not overthinking it, are you?
No, you can't.
I'll get wood then.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'll get that. And then I can do something with that wood now.
Yeah.
I felt quite
and
kind of
build
happy.
the strategy as you go along, which is nice.
Which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt happy that because I actually was last go on the very first round, which is a bit like, oh, well, that's probably good because I don't know what I'm doing. But I felt happy that when I just, from my kind of cursory look across the board, it's like, oh, I think I'll do that first. And then Tambo did that. It's okay, well, I won't do that then because Tambo's done that. Okay, right, next best strategy is that thing there. And then you did that. And I was like, well, actually, even though I've been stymied by what I wanted to do, it made me feel like I've probably got the idea of this then, if the things I was going to do, they've already done.
Yeah.
Because you haven't got different objectives, you're all working for the same thing. So I kind of felt heartened that my brain is probably going in vaguely the right direction, give or take, you know,
and then
90 degrees.
As you're then going along, you can be like, oh, now I've got this engine going, I'm going to pick this room up, which gives me VPs for it.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's that nice kind of like, you know, I've built my own VP engine rather than giving set objectives.
Yeah, you can pivot quite quickly, you know, by the sounds of it.
You've suddenly got a load of sheep, then you think, right, well, what's that little thing that does sheep, if you keep them in mind, or whatever.
I really want to play it.
It's definitely my favourite UI, actually. Not my favourite to say, but my favourite to play. Yeah. So, yeah, I can't say the bloody thing.
You can't say it. You should be forever known as Caverna.
Caverna. Yeah, but I think that's my favourite UI game. Out of the three you've played, JP, you've played Feast,
Atiwa, and Agricola. Agricola takes it, but
Yeah.
I reckon I'll play Caverna.
I think you'd like Caverna.
I think it will just beat
I think
it.
you'd like
Yeah,
it.
I'm definitely going to...
Because it's essentially Agricola 2.0.
2.0.
Right? I think
it's like Gaia and...
I think it just takes a system and it just enhances it.
Yeah.
And I quite like that it's dwarves in a cave.
I was going to say dwarves is good, right? It's a good little...
I definitely want the powers. There's also one where you can have orcs that start raiding your base and you have to kill them off. And
get it,
it's
Dave.
just... I know, there's loads of expansions for it.
My favourite would be very close, so Caverna for actually playing in a group, but I just loved Patchwork. I did love Patchwork, that's true. I just loved Framework. I really I found that very zen and very calming. And you know, when you, I don't know if you haven't, either any of you ever played World of Warcraft or something, where you just think, oh, I'll just play for 10 minutes, I'll just go and do this, and then 4 hours have gone by, you're like, crap.
You're just cathartic.
You're in the zone. Like, I could play that and play that and play that, and you think, oh, bloody hell, it's 11 o'clock
Steady
now.
little bits of dopamine.
Yeah, it's just nice little zen.
How does it work multiplayer? It's obviously
I
I've seen you
don't
play
know,
solo.
actually. I've never played it multiplayer, so I would be interested to play it. I think you're both playing your own little board.
Yeah, I would have thought that.
So I don't think your frames are going to intermingle with any other frames.
But you're vying for the same tile sets.
I guess are you trying to be more efficient than them?
Well, it's a VP collection,
tiles?
so you've got to have and I, like I say, I might be completely wrong because it is a long time, but you're fairly set with the size square you can. If you go out of that little perimeter, then you get minus points, and it's about how many frames can you kind of get together and fulfill the requirements in the centre.
Yes.
So,
I wonder if you could do like a little shop.
Maybe there is a little shop. Maybe there is a little shop
in front of you.
Yeah, that could be it.
One person's turn, they take a tile. You're like, oh, that's the tile I wanted. And then,
I mean that would make sense. That would make
most
sense.
efficient at the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
We'll have to
literally
play,
speculating. We will have to
it's
play.
really good. I'll bring it to the
I'll be able
24
to play on that.
Yeah.
It's really good fun.
Yeah.
Really good fun. What do we think the downsides are? I think
of Uwe games, the pieces.
Yeah, I think you need, like when I showed you the folded space inserts.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not sponsored by Folded Space. If you want to sponsor us, crack on.
Yeah.
But
other inserts are available.
I'm start plugging in Folded Space.
I made some inserts and they weren't as nice as Folded Space, I have to say.
Yeah,
yeah, I think a folded space insert is
it's
necessary.
like a bonus, which because they're all really nice pieces, and then there's the downside. There's so many.
Just all in a bag.
Yeah,
exactly.
But if you had a folded space insert or another kind of insert that is made that if the box tips over, it doesn't all go everywhere, like my catastrophic Lords of Waterdeep, kind of effort. You just pick the boxes up and it's done. You don't need to kind of when we say there's a lot of setup. If everything's in a little baggie and you've got to tip things into little, well, in our house, Petri dishes or those little kind of boxes that I made. Yeah. If they already, you just pick it out of the box and put it in a pile. You don't need to set. Yeah, you're not kind of
2/3 of that time is pretty much just
empty in baggies.
Yeah.
So if you actually had them in little pots already, like you do in a folded space insert or something, you just pop there, and it's done.
Yeah.
All right, you've got to shuffle the cards and deal them out on the board. Well. That's 2 minutes. Yeah, exactly. So I think if you had a box that was kind of constructed for disseminating the pieces in a table like they are, you're golden.
You're golden. Yeah, more so with Caverna than Feast for Odin. I felt Feast for Odin, it was already an insert, and it was still a lot, because where everyone's made their Tetris tree, or like all their Tetris bits, you then got to put each...
You've got to organise it back into the insert.
Oh, and there was a lot of pieces.
There's none of that, is there? It's all square.
It's not. Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's like, well, that's a 4 square piece that goes in that little box.
Yeah.
But then there's a red side and the
And that
grey
was the
side
biggest downside
yeah.
for Feast. I would have kept on hold of it, even though me saying I think I've worked out the puzzle. I probably hadn't, and I would still be playing it. But
played it once.
every time I kept looking. I think I played it about 8 or 10 times, to be honest, which for a board game is actually quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I
Especially when
felt
you
like-
own a lot of board games. That's
exactly.
quite high, turnaround, isn't it?
But as my family were like, "Oh, do you want to play Feast again?" I was like, "Yeah, cool, I'll crack that out." Yeah. Whereas now I think that's going to be Caverna. Basically, if you're going to take anything away from this episode, I definitely play or get
Caverna.
Caverna. Yeah. Is there any other downsides that you can think of from Uwe Games?
I think the only downsides I can think, and this is probably more from me, is that I've never sought to go after to play them, and I'm trying to think why that's the case. And it might be because maybe the themes aren't sexy enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not high action, quick combat that thing, roll a 6, you're dead now.
It's not necessarily like that.
There's
but
no take that.
If I compare, and I shouldn't compare a designer to a publisher because that's just weird, but a lot of the publisher I'm going to mention has the same designers, so it kind of works. So like Mind Clash, right?
Who had Mind Clash on their bingo that JP was going to bring it up? Tick the box if you
It's
did.
not normally Mind Clash, but Mind Clash, their themes are exciting.
Yes.
Like they generally
They're usually out there, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like, well, that's really interesting. It's really exciting, Or it's medieval farming, and again for me, I never felt like I'm really.
But that's
buzzed
obviously
to play
his
this.
passion, isn't it?
Yeah, but then when you play it, you think this is amazing.
Yeah.
It could be collecting giant space balls and converting them to nuclear whatever else that gets you going.
Which
but
I guess one's
That's
actually
quite nice.
more relatable than the other, weirdly as
the
well.
dwarf one.
Dwarf eating money.
Yeah.
But I guess it isn't. They're not usually exciting themes in that sense, but they make sense and they can immerse you into that world.
Yeah.
In a different
But
way.
it's, like you said, the warming, the comforting.
definitely.
They are.
They're
They have
not
a charm
chocolate
about
in
them.
front of the fire.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
There's
definitely not.
nothing wrong with that.
They're not massively off-putting. Like, for example,
No.
I don't like spacey stuff particularly, although Terraforming Mars is one of my favourite games ever.
Yeah.
And I like games about space. By and large, space wouldn't be like, oh, it's a space thing. I don't really care, to be honest. Do I care more about medieval farming? No, not really. But maybe if you were like, oh, look at that box art. Oh, it looks all spacey. Oh, I'm not interested. That might be something that might put you off.
Yeah.
No, Uwe stuff is not going to put anybody off unless you hateful, got no soul, and you don't like anything warm and cuddly. Maybe then you don't like it, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. So one thing I'll say about the artwork that Clemens Franz has done for the majority of Uwe's games is it's to me it's quite cartoony. It's not. It's not amazing when you look at it in that sense. I mean, some people will think it's amazing. This is obviously my opinion, but
sorry,
it's not. I'm trying to find the words for this.
It's not an oil painting, and it's not super detailed or realistic.
It's not going to offend anyone, is it? It's
No.
You can't not say, I don't like that. Say with Terra Mystica Gaia Project, where I go I don't like the artwork on that.
Yeah, 'cause that's just
but it's
shit.
good artwork, but it's not. It doesn't detract from the game, or it's not serious artwork. It fits in with the theme.
Yeah.
It's
it
spot
adds to
on
that
for
warmth.
it's that warmth.
And
isn't
they
it?
use really nice kind of colour selections and colour palettes. It's
very
lots
colourful.
of clashing nonsense, but it uses quite a varying different load of greens in the pastures, and the stuff is just kind of muted and pleasant. It's not, oh my god, everything is fighting for my eye space.
And this is where I think where my point was going, thank you Becky, is the fact that it works with the symbology, and that's another reason why his games work so well, in the fact that people pick them up easily.
Yeah.
I think the artwork doesn't take you detract you from what that action means or what that action means. It's easy to see, it's
Keeps you in
easy
the
to
game.
take in.
And there's not a lot of symbology. I quite like icons and little picture. I like all of that business, but you don't need that in these games because everything is just very, very obvious.
Yeah, well, I think we're all fans.
I need to play more.
You should play more, definitely.
Yeah, Caverna, I reckon's got your name all over it. All over it.
Yeah, really to take away from this, play some Uwe. You're probably going to like it.
Yeah.
There's not that many people who I've brought an Uwe game out to that have disliked it. There are people, but right, let's lead on to the next piece then. Right, so now it's the time for everyone's favourite game, badly Hexplained games. This, if you don't know, is pretty much just one, but it's more like just three or each.
It will be today.
Yeah, because there's only three of us.
Yeah.
But it's to do with board games, of course it is. We give one clue each,
or
times three. Yeah,
or two, or three,
or two to someone, and they have to guess what board game it is.
I liked it because the last episode we were calling this just two and trying to make this sound like a different game to just one, and then I actually played just one last weekend. And in the rules for a 3-player, it tells you everyone to put multiple clues in. So I was like,
does it really?
We're just playing just one.
Yeah.
It made me chuckle. But now we are putting 3 clues in, so it is different.
There we go.
Just 3.
It's just 3.
Don't come for us.
There
Just
we go.
one people for you.
It's the magic number.
So who's guessing first?
I don't mind. Who wants to guess first?
Well, I usually guess first, so why don't someone else do it?
I'll do it.
Shall I?
I don't think I've
go
guessed
on then.
yet.
I've not guessed yet.
No.
Oh, there you
Shall
go.
I
then.
guess?
You guess. If you're playing along at home, please skip the next few seconds. The game is Clask. So
we randomly picked a game that I have not seen. I've got no idea.
Okay.
So we get 3 clues each, right? So I
Yep.
have 6 clues to figure this random game out. So for those that don't know, we randomly are just picking from the top 500 of Board Game Geek. So kind of just randomly generate a number and see what it comes up with. So hopefully it's something we know. I don't know if I know all the 500 games.
Well,
We actually sort of minus 2 digits from this, and we didn't know that game, but we
There's
knew
no
the
fun
one.
if no one knows what game it is.
We knew the one above it, so we picked.
Oh, really?
We
Yeah.
picked that one.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I've no knowledge of what it is.
It's all good.
Well,
It's
we know
all
this. We know this one. So
Yeah,
we know this
so-
one.
Fine.
Close your eyes.
I'm closing my
So
eyes.
we're Oh yeah, I think we're all good. You can have all 6 clues here, JP.
Oh.
I mean, the fact if you got like your own twice, like if you give me 3 clues and you put 2 in the same on your own,
Yeah.
Then you need a slap.
Yeah. Right.
So the clues we've got is biscuits, Scandi, magnets, beer, Dutch, dexterity.
Oh, okay.
JP's looking.
Yeah.
JP's looking.
I immediately am going towards Clask.
Hey!
There we go.
It is classic. I don't even know if it's Dutch.
I don't think it is. I think it's Scandinavian.
But it just reminded me, I think the Dutch play it a lot
Yeah.
though,
Yeah.
and there was a Dutch tournament that I watched where
There
they were
was.
drinking and
There was.
playing Clask, so
Yeah.
I think that's why
I mean,
put
Scandi, magnets, and biscuits,
Yeah.
definitely. Dexterity helped. And then I just thought, wow, it's a beery kind of silly name, isn't it?
Well, like
Yeah.
Clask,
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, a
yeah,
Clask
that's
of
right.
beer.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
Let's do one for
yeah,
Davey.
do one for me. I haven't done one in a while, so.
For those playing along at home, make sure you skip the next few seconds. The game we are explaining is Coimbra. Right, we have our second game locked and loaded, and we're just going to write some clues.
Can we third clue?
Right, well, okay. Okay, we've got the clues, so we're now going to go and compare, aren't we, Becky?
Compare and contrast.
So what do we got? Oh, poo.
Oh no.
So we've eliminated 2.
That's a good start, isn't it?
That's
2?
fine then.
Have I got 2 clues?
Well,
That's
as in, you know, 2 of us.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Am I barking at the totally the wrong tree?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
That's,
That doesn't
Oh, I
fill
was
me.
looking
That
at the
doesn't
other
fill me
game.
with confidence.
I think
JP.
he's
You were like,
screwed.
okay.
right, so we have monasteries.
So Caverna.
Yeah,
Caverna biscuits.
No, we have monasteries,
Monasteries, guards,
boats,
boats.
and exploration. I mean, good luck.
Boats. Monastery and Exploration.
So he's only got 4 clues because me and JP doubled up on one of ours.
Yeah, which was quite an important one.
I think we might need to give him one of them. I'm not going to lie.
Let me just... What's the Euro game about? It's a European town, funnily enough, as a lot of them are. The one where you're moving your priests one side and you've got your... What's it called?
He's struggling, listeners. He's struggling. I'd love to help you, but I can't. It's the rules.
I know. I know the game as well. I'm just so bad with names. We play it because we... I don't know, all names have left me now. Yeah, go on, give me the other clues. I want to see if I was... Oh, yeah, I think it is the game I was talking about.
It's just not going to help him because you knew the game.
I knew the game, but
we've added in the word Portugal.
And that's the thing, I know the game. It's the one I played, and I like the game. I just can't think of it. I'm just rubbish with names.
Yeah.
As we know this.
You give
Should
up.
we give him the first
quiz.
letter of the game?
Yeah, go on.
It's a C.
C.
Oh, it's...
Yeah.
You nearly there, mate. You...
No, I'm not going to be able to say it.
For all the listeners at home, shouting it out now. We are, of course, talking about Coimbra.
There we go. And that's the game I was explaining.
Is that the one you were thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, you were there. Just didn't know what it was called.
I'm just bad with names.
Yeah.
Any kind of name.
Yeah.
As you can tell from the bloopers probably of the last of this episode.
Nice.
Right, now all the fun's over, we're on to our penultimate turn. This is where we're just going to talk about things we've got coming up, or it doesn't necessarily have to be game related, but it usually is. So I'll start. I've got obviously Skymines coming up, which we've spoken about next week. But we've also got your birthday thing coming up.
I have,
Yeah.
JP's birthday.
JP's getting a year old, and we've got a collection of games we're going to be playing.
28, can't wait.
Yeah.
28 plus another
14.
few.
So yeah, that's what I've got coming up, and funnily enough, I've probably stolen your thunder, but that's what I'm looking forward to, because I haven't actually played anything. I haven't played anything. I haven't played a lot of games recently.
No.
Not as much as I normally would. And then I've also got my partner's 30th coming
Yay,
up.
happy birthday, Gemma.
Yeah.
Birthday, Gemma.
So I'm not going to say what we're doing. Oh, actually, no, I probably could, but I'm not going to say it.
It's up to you,
Just in
mate.
case she listens.
If she
No, I'm not
listens,
doing anything. I'm not
will it
doing
be
anything.
after her
like,
birthday?
Yeah, well, yeah, it will be.
Yeah,
So
you're
it'll be
fine then.
Taking her to a spa and a Michelin star restaurant.
You spoil it.
I know. Yeah. Just send that clip to her.
Yeah. Guess what he's doing.
So yeah, it should be good. And
Very
then
nice.
basically she was like, I don't want to do a big party. I want to do loads of little things. And it's actually ended up harder organising.
Yeah.
Because I have to, rather than just be like, oh, here's a party, everyone come, or come to it. It's been like, right, so I've organised this on this date and this on this date, and then
That group of people
this
and
and
that
this
group
and
of
this.
people.
Yeah, and it's just been a bloody nightmare.
Yeah.
Not the best at organising anyway, as JP can attest to. So, yeah, but
I'm sure she's going to have a lovely time.
yeah, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. It's 2 days off work for me as well, so lovely.
And you're going to the spa as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. It's a present for you too.
Yeah, we're going to
Lovely.
Bath, so it should be
Very
good.
nice.
Sweet. So for me,
Yeah, why not?
I've got a birthday coming up.
Yeah. I've sold your thunder though. You have to edit me out.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So I've got a birthday coming up, and
You're going to be 28, aren't you?
I'm going to be 28.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and do a game day. I always quite like to do a game day. Like most of us in the
That'd be
group,
fun.
we try and do it, don't
Yeah.
we? So on the game day, my brother's coming down, which is always nice to see my brother and do some games with him. I'm actually excited to play Terraforming Mars because I haven't played it for ages.
And every time we've been playing it, it's been full lately.
It's been full because it's a game you put up. It fills up in nanoseconds,
Yeah.
and I'm busy. I'm a busy guy doing lots of stuff.
Busy man.
Mainly gaming and lifing, but yeah, I'm looking forward to playing TM, and I think we've got Civ New Dawn on there as well. I think trying to think of what other games I'm planning. It just depends. I'm trying to work out who's coming because I'm at that kind of awkward, like 5-player mark, which eliminates most of my collection. Actually,
5 players are a hard one, isn't it?
It's a hard one, but then
I could bring
Caverna.
Caverna if you
you
wanted.
could do, yeah. Maybe we do.
That's up to 7 players.
Yeah,
Oh, is it?
that would play nicely at a large
we
play
do that
count,
then.
I think.
Yeah, if you want.
An excuse to play it, and
And it's easy to pick up and play.
Well, let's throw it in the mix
Gonna
then.
test
Yeah,
it.
why not?
And it's flexible enough to scale, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we're organising this as we're recording. This is amazing. But yeah, so there's a few games, and we might have 5 players for most of the day. We might have 4. It might flex. So again, I'm just going to work out who's coming, sort that out.
Yeah, nice.
But generally, this week, the game I'm actually looking forward to this week is June. Again, June
Yeah,
Imperium.
nice.
I love it. I can't
I do
not
need
love
to
it.
play this.
Gemma's had got a birthday on that day. God, damn you, Gemma.
Every time I do the transcript for this, to a bigger or lesser degree,
July
of
Imperium.
July, yeah, it says June with a June, so I'd just like to say Dune Imperium.
Yeah, I know.
See if it picks that up and spells it correctly for the first time ever.
Yes, can't wait for Dune Imperium.
Your birthday present arrived the other day, so
My birthday.
I'm usually up in Slack and I haven't got you one, but this year I've got you one. So
You don't have to do that.
oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just I'm intrigued.
Oh, okay. I'm scared. Yeah. But that's me. Birthday shenanigans. Looking forward to it.
Nice.
Are you back?
Well, I have got Terraforming Mars coming up on Wednesday,
Yeah.
which I'm thinking I shouldn't have signed up to do because I'm going to London on Thursday night immediately after work to go to Munich on Friday morning. So
Busy.
flying out to Germany on Friday morning.
Have you
coming
been to
back on
Munich
Sunday.
before?
Never been to Germany before.
Oh, nice.
No. So
No, I've
I'm
never been.
going to see if my Duolingo is going to be useful. It probably isn't because I don't need to tell someone my cat swims never. So I don't think I'm going to be saying that a lot. But maybe I should just to get it out there.
Yeah. The only phrase I know is Ich habe blonde Haare und grüne Augen.
Yeah, but that's not
Which
useful for me, is it?
It's not useful for me.
Well, you do have blonde hair and green eyes, so
I know I
you
do.
know.
But that's the thing that's stuck in my mind from school.
Yeah, well, you can have that
I can't
one-sided
really-
conversation with someone. Yeah,
And they get a response and go,
Yep.
great.
they're going to probably be really good and go, okay, yeah.
A good attempt.
So yeah, going to Munich to I won tickets to see the Disney 100 Immersive Art Exhibition.
Nice.
We're going to London on Thursday evening to fly from Heathrow on Friday morning, back on Sunday afternoon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And I've got Monday off work, so
There
that'd be
you go.
nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, I planned
You
that
always
nicely.
need that after. I always,
I love that.
now I always plan a little bit off after I get back from holiday to recover from the
Yes.
holiday,
Yeah.
because otherwise you get back and you're like,
There's nothing
Straight back
worse.
to
is there?
work.
There's
No,
nothing
it's
worse than
awful.
travelling, whether you're driving or flying, and then you're getting home and it's Sunday afternoon, and you're putting all the bags into the house or whatever, and then you go, oh fuck, I've got work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I hate that.
yeah.
Twice
hate
when
that.
I went to Florida with my friend, the only way I could manage to get enough days off in a row was by swapping shift with everybody in the world, and it meant that I landed at say midday, got back to home about 8 o'clock at night, and I'd be working 12-hour shift the next day, and you just want to cry,
Yeah.
or you just like, why did I do it? And you know why you did it, because you couldn't go if you hadn't done it, and that's the only thing. And you can't call in sick because you're not sick, you're just sick of life that day.
Yeah,
You cannot call in sick.
But you're always like, well, that's future Becky's problem.
Exactly, and you think,
And
well, I'm
then-
going to feel like crap anyway because I'm coming home from holiday, so it'd be rubbish anyway, it's
And
fine.
then you go, past Becky's a bitch.
Yeah, you just think, what was I even thinking? What a fool! I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
And then I did it again.
Yeah, you do.
So you know, I've planned it, and it's not like it's going to be a crazy. I'm just going with one of my girlfriends, and we're just going to have a nice time. So
Sounds good.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
We just want to thank you all for listening and continuing to listen. I've been James. This has been JP, and this has been Becky. We are Whose Turn Is It Anyway? And if you can contact us on email players@whoseturn.co.uk, Facebook Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast, Instagram @Whose Turn podcast, TikTok @Whose Turn Is It Anyway, and now you can find us on Board Game Geek, which is just Whose Turn Is It Anyway. So again, thank you very much. And signing off. Whose turn is it?
Mine.
Yours.
Always.
It's always. In fact, if you've got to ask, it's probably yours.